Hey, Shalom Yeshua, I want to start as always by giving all praise to Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, Ba'Shem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles of GMS, and honors to you brothers doing the work in truth while sincerity. This is a quick one, just a quick review on that film Aquaman. Aquaman is one of the DC universe superheroes, and surprising for DC. It was actually an entertaining film, right? Good visuals, etc., etc., etc. But obviously, that's not why we are here. Um, I'll do my best not to go into any spoilers, but I'll just touch on a few points that were raised throughout the film, and then whatever the spirit leads. So the first things first, you got Aquaman, and his dad is a human, and his mum is a queen from Atlantis, whatever, what have you. Now, we know what it is according to the scriptures, man. You get them superpowers, you get them gifts, right? You get chosen by your father's line, right? So if his father's a human, then really and truly, Aquaman is what do you call it? Is just a human. He is not of royal blood. Right, this is in Numbers 1:18. Says, and they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month and declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers. Right, and that's the thing there, the house of their fathers, because it's that is, you are who your father is according to the scriptures of the Bible. Right, this is according to the number of the names from 20 years old up 20 years old and upwards by their polls, right? Like I said, the point there is you are what your father is, right? And this is just the typical thing of Esau switching things around, right? For instance, you get them so-called Jews, which, if I'm not mistaken, they believe you're a Jew, by your mother's line, and it's like, where'd you get that from, right? The Torah here in this verse is very clear, right? It's the 12 sons of Israel, right? Not the 12 daughters, right? I mean, they had they there was a sister Dinah, right? You don't hear about her, right? You don't hear about the tribe of Dinah, right? So this whole thing is a corruption of what the scripture says, right? This is Isaiah 29:16 says, surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay, right? For shall the work say of him that made it, he made me not? Or shall the thing framed say of him that framed it, he had no understanding, right? So basically, he sort of looked at what the order is, right? How things are determined, right? And as usual, right, being the devil, right, he switched things around. Right, he's basically, like I said, made it look like your mother's line is important, which ultimately is not. Right, you look at what do you call it? Let's get the end of Ruth. Let's get to the last chapter in Ruth. Bible. Ruth 4. Right, so you look at Ruth, and now Ruth was a Moabitess. If I believe, yes, and more of a Ruth the Moabitess is a Ruth 4:10, right? So Ruth was a Moabite, right? But we jump down to Ruth 4:18. So now these are the generations of Phares. Phares begat Hezron, and Hezron begat Ram, and Ram begat Amminadab, and Amminadab begat Nashon, and Nashon begat Salmon, and Salmon begat Boaz, and Boaz begat Obed, and Obed begat Jesse, and Jesse begat David, right? And then you you actually come up here. So, and Naomi took the child and laid it in her bosom and became nurse unto it, and the women gave her neighbors. In fact, let me go to the point. Right, so okay, I'll read from verse 9. It says, and Boaz said unto the elders and unto all the people, you are witness this day that I have bought all of Elimelech's and all that Chilion and Malon of the hand of Naomi. Moreover, Ruth the Moabitess, the wife of Malon, have I purchased to be my wife, to raise up the name of the dead upon his inheritance, right? That the name of the dead be not cut off from among his brethren, right? So that's for instance, that's one of the customs that we had in ancient Israel, right? Whereas if your brother died without, without a, but forget whether it's without seed or whether it's without a son, right? But basically, if he had a brother, then his brother would basically go in unto his widowed wife, right, and then have a and lay with her, and then that child that came up will be the child of his brother, right? So then all the people that were in the gate and the elders said, "We are witness. Yahweh make this woman that is come into thine house like Rachel and Leah, which two did build the house of Israel, and do thou worthily in Ephratah and be famous in Bethlehem." Right, and let thy house be like the house of Pharaoh, whom Tamar bare unto Judah, of the seed which Yahweh shall give thee of this young woman. So Boaz took Ruth, and she was his wife. And when he went in unto her, the Lord gave a conception, and she bare a son. And we going back down here. It says Boaz, Obed, Jesse, King David. Right? So basically showing you that in King David's line, right, a woman was a Moabite, man. Right? But does that now make King David a Moabite? Hell no. Right? And that's like I said, that just goes to show when they were talking about that particular event, right? They were going off, right? Because you are what your father is. So that Aquaman geezer really is just a man, right? Nothing special about him, right? He's just a human, man, not of the royal seed. This is Deuteronomy 22:23, right? So and so basically the story is that he also has a brother, right? As in this Aquaman guy has a brother, and his brother was the son of the king and the son of the queen, right? So he was a legitimate son, not a bastard, right? And in fact, they I won't go into that because that's part of the film, right? But basically, they got onto the queen for doing what she did, for laying down with a heathen, basically, right? You basically you've laid down with this guy, right? But basically, this the second child, right? So Aquaman's little brother, right? He's betrothed to this woman. Now, this woman is the woman that you see on the poster, right? And he refers to her as my betrothed, right? And then, spoiler alert. Then later on, you see Aquaman kissing this woman. Right now, that is off. That is adultery, man. Right, if a woman's betrothed, you can't touch her, man. You can't deal with her. Right, whether it's been consummated or not. Right, and this is the law. Now, and this goes back to the this is the infamous Deuteronomy, the 22nd chapter, right, which people would you call it, people get emotional over. But this is one of those instances where this law would be applied. This is a living example of where this law would be applied, right? Because when you watch these things, when you watch these films, watch these TV shows, right, you just can't help, you always just filtering it through the scripture, like, nah, it was going off because of X, Y, Z. Right, you ask yourself, how would we judge this situation, right? Are they going off, right, in doing this, right? It says Deuteronomy 22:23 says, if a damsel that is a virgin be betrothed unto an husband, and the mind, and you see that betrothed, right? Betrothed means promised, right? To promise to marry a spouse, right? It says unto an husband, and the man find her in the city and lie with her, then he shall bring them both out of the gate of that city, and he shall stone them with stones that they die. Right. So not only is this Aquaman an illegitimate son, right? He's also an adulterer, man. Right. It says, and in this instance, both of them will be put to death because she was all down with it. Really, I mean, in truth, she kissed him, right? Says them with stones that they die, the damsel because she cried not, being in the city, and the man because he hath humbled his neighbor's wife, so thou shalt put away evil from among you. And that's, once again, is how you would judge that situation, right? Was she in a position to be saved? Using Aquaman example, it was out for everyone to see. It was in the public. right? And she was all down with it, right? She was in agreement with it. So in this instance, right, the judgment, right, in ancient Israel, obviously don't do this now, right? But in ancient Israel, right, the judgment would have been, look, man, hey, both of you committed adultery, man, right? And you would have put her to death. You'd have taken her out, man. Right, it says, but this is the inverse, right? This is the protection of the woman, right? It says, but if a man found a betrothed damsel in the field, and the man force her and lie with her, then the man only that lay with her shall die. But unto the damsel thou shalt do nothing. There is in the damsel no sin worthy of death. For as when a man riseth against his neighbor and slayeth him, even so is this matter, right? So basically, he was laying in wait. He took her. She would have been fired. She would have been like, nah, get off you, man. She would have been screaming and whatever, what have you, in the look, in looking for help, right? So these guys are saying that, we hate women, whatever, what have you. No, this is what the law says. This is protection for the women, right? So I'm just fixing this mic. It just stands a bit shite. Right, so Lords, you can still hear me. Right, so yeah, that was another thing, right? That you saw in the film that was off, right? Also, you get Isaiah 24:5. Now, this is something that basically makes the younger brother, right, the villain, right, almost, because there were two. But this is what made the younger brother, Aquaman's younger brother, really the guy. As always, who was in the right, and what always happens with these films is that the guy, which the directors always make the guy with who has the right idea execute it in the wrong way, right? Because man goes around just killing kings and whatever, like, and shit like that. I don't even know what word I'm looking for, but basically carrying out false flags to further his agenda. But the idea was correct. Right now, he wanted to wage a war on the surface people, right? And then one of the things they talk about, and in fact, is even a scene, right, when the redhead chick she's going to get her ship, right, and then in where she's hidden her ship. Right, you basically have a fish and it's strangled by the by the you get the 6-pack of beer and it's the plastic around it. Right, so it's basically showing you in the film the pollution, and this the Aquaman's younger brother, right? He's basically like, look, man, these surface people, they've polluted our oceans, right? They've and it's showing you like the oil rigs, spilling in oil into the seas, right? The plastics, and one of the things that as a warning is done, once again, slight spoiler alert. One of the things that is done is it basically throws the he throws a lot of the garbage out of the seas and into the land. So then you get like the old ships that have fallen and polluted the land, right? You get the plastic, right? And and then it's one of those ones like, yeah, if you did have sea dwelling creatures, right, who has superpowers, right? I say that as a joke, but if there was an Atlantis, which there isn't, right? But I'm saying hypothetically, if there was, they'd be pissed, man. You go, and in truth, the animals are pissed, man. You've got animals dying off of the plastic of this man's pollution. Right, it's Isaiah 24:5 says, the earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinances, and broken the everlasting covenant. Right, and all for profit. In fact, let me grab that as well. Right, because they have polluted the whole earth, right? And it's defiled, and the earth mourns, man. Right? This is 1 Timothy 6:10. So for the love of money is the root of all evil. Now, money itself isn't evil, right? You read the Apocrypha, it says money is a defense, right? So money is a defense. But what Esau do, Esau loves money, and he does anything in the pursuit of it. Right? And you niggas too. Right, which is why the scriptures say, ye are of your father the devil. Right, and that was in reference to Israelites. That was spoken to Israelites. right? But that's, then they're doing the lusts. He says, on the lust of your father you will do. So these niggas, right, they love money so much, and that's going to be the end of them, man. Because some of them have had to take deals or whatever, what have you, to get into the position that they're in, right? But this man, well, you ask him, oh, why don't you just use, glass and, other materials that are recyclable, that break down? His thing, oh, well, profit, basically, because he still wants to be able to transport all those goods, but then he's like, oh, well, we won't be able to move things across easily because of, because that's a problem. You're moving, let's say, a lorry full of Coke cans, let's say, right? Because the aluminium is light, right? It basically means that you can carry more with and use less fuel. So their argument is, well, aluminium makes it easy to transport, which means you pollute less, right? But look how hard it is to get aluminium out of the ground. That's polluting in itself, right? And what else do you have? You basically, it's all a damn mess, and there's only one solution, and that is to get rid of these Edomites, right? So Revelation 11:18 says, and the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, and the time of the dead, that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants the prophets, and to the saints, and to them that fear thy name, small and great, and shouldest destroy them which destroyeth the earth, right? And that is one of the things that we look forward to, so that the earth can rest, so that the earth can be at peace, right? In fact, let me get that. So Esau going to be destroyed for what do you call it, for destroying the earth, right? Because when all these other heathen nations were in power, right, they didn't fuck up the what do you call it? They didn't fuck up the oceans as way this man has done. They didn't fuck up space. Esau's polluted space. He's polluted land, right? He's polluted the waters, man. He's polluted the rainforests. He's polluted the deserts, right? He's a cancer, right? It says Isaiah 14:8. It says, yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since thou art laid down, no fellow is come up against us. Now, this is twofold, right? But then also the trees, they're gonna be high, man. Because what does this man do? He just goes around, I remember growing up in school. This is what, how am I show you? This was what, maybe 17 years ago, right? Being 17 years ago, being told, yeah, look, man, the rate of destruction of the rainforest is the size of a football pitch, right? Soccer field being destroyed in, I think, maybe a day. And I think that's generous. I think maybe it was like an hour or whatever, but it's a large amount of rainforest is just being destroyed constantly. Why for McDonald's, for this, for that, right? Once again, going back to this point here, the love of money is the root of all evil, right? And I'll end with this as well. Let me find this. Right. This is 2nd Ezra 6. I'm going to start from 47. Yeah, that is the point. Right. It says, upon the 5th day, right, this is going into creation story and expounding on Genesis 1. Right. It says, upon the 5th day, thou sayest unto the 7th part, where the waters were gathered, that it should bring forth living creatures, fowls and fishes. And so it came to pass. For the dumb water and without life brought forth the living things at the commandment of the Most High. Right? It says that all people might praise thy wondrous works. Then thou didst ordain 2 living creatures. The one thou callest Enoch, and the other Leviathan. Right? It says, and didst separate the one from the other. For the 7th part, namely where the water was gathered together, might not hold them both. And unto Enoch thou gavest 1 part, which was dried up on the 3rd day, that he should dwell in the same part wherein are 1,000 hills. But unto Leviathan thou gavest the 7th part, namely the moist, and hast kept him to be devoured of whom thou wilt and when. And that's beautiful, right? So reason I bring this up, so they basically kind of go into a I don't know if I can call it a creation story in the film, where basically they're saying like everyone was together at one point, but then an event happened, and then basically it got flooded, blah 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 blah, right? Which obviously they weren't going, entirely correctly, but that, the Lord did basically separate, the sea dwelling creatures to the land dwelling creatures, which is what's going into here, right? And what else was a good point? Yes, it says, and has kept him, but unto 52, but unto Leviathan thou gave us the seventh part, namely the moist, and has kept him to be devoured of whom thou wilt and when, right? And that's one of the things you see is basically, nearer the end of the film, right? You have this massive creature, right? And then he's basically just tearing shit up. They've got their little robots or whatever, in the sea fighting, right? And basically, yeah, Leviathan. This creature which I'm a liken to Leviathan. He's just, bro. You have this ship, and then literally this creature just breaks it up like it's nothing, like it's child's play, right? And Leviathan's gonna have a field day himself, right? So yeah, I mean, like I said, it was just a quick one. Well, actually ended up not being a quick one. It was just a look into that, filtering that film Aquaman through the scriptures. And yeah, as always, Lord's will, that was edifying. Until the next time, I say shalom.